Let's backtest Euro Yen today. Usually I choose a random pair and a random day, but I'm feeling a little curious now. Um, because I don't know, I just want to see how I do. Um, I missed a few trades on this today. It's probably the real reason. So, let's see what we can get up into. Um, right now we're coming into this. We are mostly bearish, but we just broke above this zone of supply here, and we're currently rejecting from this one. However, that being said, we do have some kind of missing price up here. I don't want to go to a higher time frame because I'll see the future, but speaking of which, let me turn on my backtest helper so I further don't see the future. But all that being said, I think that we can probably see potentially some kind of push, possibly to fill in some of this. But however, if we reject from where we're at right now, then we want to see what happens from this area of missing price. And also, a lot of times when you have these giant bars like this, you can just take, you can measure that missing price and take the 50% of it. I don't know why I have the 61 on here, but let me remove that. You just want to see, look for reactions like when it gets past the 50%, because that will tell you that something's about to pop off. So right now, I'm actually bullish up until possibly this point, but we can potentially go lower, and that's all you really need to know. That's all I really need to know right now. If I go to the 5-minute, I can see missing price down here, so I just want to adjust that for now. And I also see that we failed to break this high when we got up here, so we can also mark this off. And it's a lot of yellow on the chart, so I'm just gonna mark this like green or some shit. If we go down to the 1 minute, you can see that we actually failed to break the high 3 times. We created the high and then failed to break it twice, and this is usually something I would enter on. So because of that, and because we basically just like broke, oh, did we break this? We got close to breaking it. I'd say that we at least come down to here, or if not, we're going to fill in this area of missing price at least. So I actually want to add another zone here, because if price fills in, sometimes it can overshoot the missing price. And of course, we already know that this is our more probable zone because this comes from a higher time frame. But we can bounce here, so if we see a candle we like or some kind of pattern we like, we can take a buy from here. So let's keep the chart playing. Let's see what happens. I don't know. Okay, so we got very close to our missing price. I'm gonna take off that Fibonacci, but you can see that yellow line, that's our 50%. So we do expect some sort of reaction going down into this area. Okay, we are tapping right on top of that missing price. If I back up and go to the, oh, I gotta make sure that I actually go to the 459 candle. Okay, so I did have it set right, good. So if I back up here, you can see that that yellow line is right at the top of that missing price there. So let's go back down here, and I think those are actually our 5-minute missing price even. And so now I'm just looking for some kind of like pattern, maybe a quasi head and shoulder, something like that. Okay, so we did miss our entry, I think. Hopefully we get a pullback. Right here, this is kind of where I would enter because this is a quasi. So I'm going to take this trade. I'm going to give it some room because I still think we can retrace down. And our bias was to the upside. so that we would run the highs of this. So a 1 to 3 is what I want to be. That sucks, but this is the real quasi. All right, this, I promise. The other one was a FOMO quasi. This is the real one. We can take the 1 to 3. There you go. So now we're pushing up into the zone. What we want to do is we want to look at the 15-minute, but I can't do that yet because of the way that the trading view candles work. So now let's go over here. It looks like we wicked above this area, pushing deeper into the zone of supply. When we have a long wick like this that covers the previous price and it's on the 15-minute, normally I'd say this gets cleared out. So let's figure out where we can bounce from. I would probably look at the 5-minute, and I would say that, let's clean this up a little bit. I'll keep this here just in case. I'd probably say that somewhere from this candle would be where we could bounce from. There's missing price in here, but what I see a lot of times is that price will kind of retest off of the, so let me go to another time frame so you can see. Should be like, yeah, so basically that's the high of that 10-minute candle, so it's the last down move before the up move, and that's kind of what we're looking for when we look at all this stuff. So we would expect a reaction from there. That's not a chart pattern I take. Now this would be what I'd consider a quasi again, so I would take this, and then we'll just do another 1 to 3. Pretty far though, but we do expect to run those highs. Let me see if I can get it to 3. There we go. So we're chopping, and there we go. Right, we pop up again, and there we go. That first trade really threw me off for a second. I was like, wait a second, what am I looking at? And I was like, oh yeah, that's a FOMO, because we had to pull back and then test off of the bottom here. We don't always do it, but anyways, that was the case with that trade. So now let's get back to the 15-minute and see what we're looking at here. So on the 15-minute, we are still making that wick. However, we are currently bouncing from this zone. Now, I'd like to see it come a little higher before I start selling off here, but we have to understand that this could be considered one like up move before a down move. So price could very well bounce from here. We just want to see, you know, what happens after this massive impulse that we just had. And if I were to look for a bounce, it would most likely be the same concept. I'll even move this box. We want to take a little bit above the missing price, the wick above the missing price, because we know from looking at our other time frame that this can be an area of demand, right? So let's go down. It's pretty close, but I guess no cigar. We didn't get a tap into what we wanted, and we are pushing higher. However, with these long wicks, we could expect to see some sort of rejection. We've broken, we failed to break the high multiple times with these wicks, but I don't want to enter just on that. I'd like to see some sort of break of the lows, and then a return. So there is a break of the short-term lows. There's the longer-term lows, and we missed our trade, but that's okay. When there's a ton of wicks like this, it's usually pretty safe to enter, but I really wanted to wait for that extra confirmation because we were just coming from all this bullish momentum right now, and I just like to get a little extra, but it looks like I missed it. And this is what I was talking about. I missed trades today on Euro Yen. So now we are for sure bearish. We have this giant ass zone up here. Left a ton of missing price on the 15-minute. And I can see us pushing a little bit lower here, possibly to fill in this. Basically, we've got this guy down here. I don't know how far he would come, but that's kind of my bias. Depending on how long, let's see. I was gonna say, depending on how long this wick is, we might still be able to get a bounce here. I mean, we still might be able to get a bounce here. Honestly, it's just a lot of movement, a lot of volatility. I feel like this would be also risky for me to enter here, so I'm gonna wait. Now, this is something I like. This is also a quasi to me, so I'm gonna enter here. Now, our bias, I got too many zones on the chart, but our bias is that we run up to the red. So let's see what we got. I don't think I should actually take this trade. But if our bias is that we run to the red, I mean, see the stop loss has to be too far, so I'm gonna not take that right now. I want a better entry. This is a return, so we could get a bounce from here. If I get another bullish candle here, I'll just take it. So there we go, bouncing out of these wicks again. This would be a similar setup to what we missed up here on the top side. And so I'm gonna take this trade here. Understanding that we should push back up to red from here because this is a double bottom, and that's one of our setups. Oh, and we are wrong. Oh well. Okay, so understanding that we were wrong there, let's see where we can push to. Well, if I back up again, basically we're kind of looking at this zone down here, right? So let's see what happens. We push down into the zone, and we're just looking for a bullish shift back up. And we want to see if we get that. But however, you have to understand now we've created this zone of supply here. So let's mark that as blue. It's looking like a rainbow now, but let's mark that as blue. And so now what we're just looking for is we're looking for a reason to buy. We don't have to be the first motherfuckers in the trade, but we want to be close. We're just waiting for a break of a high and then a return to the low. So we broke the highs, and I'd like to get to a 15-minute to see what's going on, but it looks like Euro Yen decided that it was time to go up. And so we have this massive push back to the top side. And I might have been able to see this three times fail with this wick here, but I just wasn't paying attention to that far back, which is okay. So now we're back up here. And so since we're back in the zone of supply, what we're looking for is something to tell us that we want to reverse. That's a nice candle. We're reversing. There's a lot of movement in Euro Yen today. So we push down from this area of demand past this supply. We could potentially see some momentum back down to this side, but I'm trying to figure out where we can catch that from. One area I see is this high right here. If we fail to break this, I'd like to see. If we tap there again and don't break it, then I will sell. We broke it. So now we're bouncing from this area or near it. So now what we are looking for is basically another return to this area here without breaking it. Okay, we broke it, that's fine. So now we're saying this area here. This is a better tap because we're deeper into this supply zone. Okay, so it ran it slightly, but that's okay. Let's see what happens. What we're looking for is a break of the lows right here, and then a return to the top side. Okay, we broke the lows, that's awesome. Now let's go back up. We just tapped into it, but we need to return to our zone here. We barely tapped it, and I don't want that. We want to look for some confidence that we are going to start dropping. And so now we came deep into our zone, and we've been here 3 times, right? And this is the 3rd time price has failed to break it. So, or the 2nd time price has failed to break it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my stop loss above this area here, and then we're just going to sell off. Okay, not the candles we like. We like that a lot better. Keep going. Thank you. Oh, now we're coming back up again. Not exciting, and there we go, right? So that was awesome. So we got our 3 there. Now, one thing to note is that I entered a bit early, right? Because earlier I said 3 times to the top, but now look, I entered on the 2nd time. I would count this as probably a 3rd time here, but I mean, hey, it came back one more time. This would have been an even better entry. You know, it just happens, right? So let's see. It's 10:30. I usually stop trading around 11. I don't know if we can catch any more, but that would be cool. Let's look at the 15-minute to see where we're at. So now we just want a return to this area of supply right here, or this order block as people call it. And so we're also targeting this missing price right now. When we come back down, that is our first target. Now I could have held longer than 1 to 3, but I like to take my 1 to 3s because I'm scalping. Now what is it bouncing off of now? Just this area here, not too much. If I go to the 5-minute, I may see something. Not too much, so we potentially come higher. And here we go. So we actually have another short-term supply zone. Lower time frame 1-minute supply zone. And these could be good for continuations, depending on what you want, what you're looking for, but also kind of risky. Like if I were to sell here, right, I could be correct, but let's see what happens. We usually want to have 3 taps, right? But with these short-term supply zones, a lot of times, you probably don't want to take the trade anyways. But since we're targeting this missing price, I mean, this is what we're doing. So, and there you go. And that's why we don't want to take these, because they're low probability. We want to wait for our 15-minute zones. Or, conversely, wait for the 3 taps, like we waited for in our 15-minute zones. And so you see it did get run, and then it started dropping. We can figure out where that dropped from. not too much going on any time frame besides this area of, I guess, prior support, but I don't usually trade with those areas, so I guess that happens. Right now, I would like a pullback to this current yellow area, but look, volatility is going to be low because it's Friday on this and it's already noon. I don't think we're going to get another trade out of this. Okay, we got a pullback into this. And I kind of like this trade, but not really. The main reason being that it's, like I said, I think I should just not be trading here. Okay, so we're coming back up. Like normally, when I see something like this, I'd probably have entered sooner. But there's only it's only like 59 minutes until the end of the trading session, right? So it's not much worth. I guess I could have caught like this third tap here, but it's so like it's pretty risky to me. I mean, I don't know if we'd have got the 1 to 3. Okay, barely. And then it would have been scary. We'd have to enter like perfectly. That's it. So if you needed to scalp for, what is this? We had a negative, is -1 plus 3 plus 3, so that's 5 minus 1, 4 plus 3, 7. So if you wanted a 7, and minus, I guess we took this one too, -1, so 6%. If you wanted 6% in a day, that's kind of how you would scalp it out. And like doing 1 to 3 gives you some room for error.